Mistletoe watercolor Christmas card. To begin, you have to get your image on the watercolor paper. One way to do this is by taking the printout and coloring the back side of the paper with graphite. This will create a carbon transfer. So when you flip the paper back over onto your watercolor paper, everywhere that you press the pencil down or trace over the lines will create a carbon transfer. But if you'd like, you can also freehand it. The first thing we have to do is wet our pan. This is watercolor, it's not acrylic, so the watercolor itself should be very liquidy and movable. As watercolors should be transparent, we're going to paint the entire frog yellow, only leaving out the ribbon. It doesn't have to be the same consistency throughout, it's okay if your yellow gets thinner. Once the yellow layer is mostly dry, I'm going to start prepping my green. Of course, we could use the green cake just the way that it is, but it's a very odd green. So I'm going to make my own that's a little more toad colored. To do this, I'm going to mix blue, green, and a little bit of orange together to get a slightly olive green tone. I'm going to begin by painting around the spot at the top of the toad's head and around the eyes. After I get this little mask area painted in, I'm going to rinse my brush off and with clean water, just drag the green around so I get a nice ombre fade effect as it goes down towards the mouth. I'm going to reload my brush and apply more green around the cheeks, again getting water and rinsing it and dragging it around so I get a nice fade instead of a just drop off. Another thing that you might notice that I do from time to time is I will squeegee some of the water out of the brush using my fingers. This dries the brush a little bit and makes it easier to blend without water. While I let the green dry, I'm going to go in and paint the base layer of my red ribbon. Notice it's really light. That means I've got a lot of water mixed into my red pigment. It'll be really loose and watery. I'm also going to paint the ribbon around the frog's middle, making sure I don't quite go to the edges, leaving a little bit of white space so that it doesn't bleed into my green. And then I'm going to just write the words mistletoe in really rich pigment. While the red is drying, I'm going to be careful not to put my hand in any of that wet paint, and I'm going to mix up purple and green together. This is going to give me a nice, really dark green black color that's natural to that toad color. It's better than using the black that's provided in the cake because it fits better. It's more natural. And to apply the paint in these areas of the spots on the toad, instead of painting up and down or left to right, I'm actually dotting and making little speckles to help give the toad a rough textured skin. I'm going to add a little bit more purple to that green for my eyes just to make it a little darker. If you remember back to our color theory stuff, you'll know that purple and yellow are complements, and so that really makes this pop out well to accent the eyes. Once the green and red are both dry, I'm going to go back and add some shadow accents to my red ribbon. To do this, I'm going to take a purple because purple is a cool color and will help accent those shadows. It also reacts well against that yellow as it's its complement and really pushes those things forward. First, as you saw, I put shadows underneath the arms, and now I'm going in and defining the bow by adding a shadow underneath the knot and then to either side of the knot to really make the sides of the ribbon stand out. Once everything is completely dry, I'm going to go back and outline just to give it a fun cartoony look. To do this, I'm using a dark gray Prismacolor. You could use a permanent marker or a micron pen or a purple colored pencil if that's what you would like to do to make the accents your own. This is going to give us a nice clean edge, define some of the areas that we didn't get defined with the watercolor, and just generally give it that fun, whimsical look. For a free download of the image used here, look in the comments, and the background music was found on mixkit.com.